Publicly predicted another minority government for the Conservative Party of Canada. What I'm wondering is this: given that your principal opponent, the Liberals, are mired in turmoil right now, why can't you do better? Why can't you predict a majority? And how are your MPs reacting to this minority prediction on your part?
Well, I was asked about, in New York, as you recall, about whether we're entering a period of minority government. As I observed, we've had a couple in a row now. If you do the math, when you have four parties, each getting, say a minimum of 20 seats each, the math for somebody to win a majority is actually not very easy. So, as I say, I think the possibility of a minority government in a subsequent election is pretty high. At the same time, I think I need to repeat that I don't think Canadians want an election. And the government is not seeking an election. Through the throne speech, we'll be seeking a mandate to govern. And a mandate to govern based on what Canadians elected us to do. So, we'll leave speculation about outcomes of an election for an actual election campaign. The opposition, has made a number of suggestions, ranging from suggestions to demands, all three parties. We always listen very carefully to what the opposition says, and we will attempt, as far as a throne speech can, to address head-on the issues that they have raised. We may not be giving them the policy they want, but we will try and address the issue, and we will be seeking a mandate to govern. And that's, I think, what a throne speech is all about. Let me just say that, I know the opposition has all kinds of demands. I respect that they're right to make demands. At the same time, let me just say that the government has some things it wants to get done in this throne speech in this upcoming session of Parliament. We want to obviously continue to raise Canada's place in the world, defend our sovereignty. We want to deal with the question of extension of the Afghan mission in a responsible way. Look at the options, make sure they're fully considered, take a responsible decision. We have important initiatives on the economy, on the environment, and on crime. I think our positions are well understood. They've been developed over the past year, in some cases in response to some opposition criticism, maybe not exactly what the opposition would like, but we've tried to adjust and come up with realistic and responsible policies. And we will be asking Parliament to give us a green light to proceed with our initiatives in those areas. That's what we'll be asking from Parliament, and we'll be asking for a clear mandate from Parliament to do that. And that's what a throne speech is supposed to be all about. And I think you have to remember there's one other subject matter that is among the government's priorities, and that is strengthening the Canadian Federation. And we all know that Mr. Duceppe, fundamentally disagrees with that objective. So, I think it wouldn't be a surprise to you to hear that we obviously will not be fully satisfying the demands of the Bloc Québécois, but we will do our best to address the subject matter that they've put before us. We're going to ask Parliament for a mandate. Once we have that mandate, we're going to consider that basically gives us the right to consider those matters confidence going forward and to get results and get things done. So, what we want to do in the next year is keep governing and keep implementing our platform, modified as I think it has been to respond to opposition concerns and to public demands. Beyond that, obviously, if we don't get approval, the opposition will force an election. It's not my preferred course of action. But, if they force that, we'll be ready for that.
Why wouldn't you take advantage of the disarray on the left, your opponents, to do as many are advising you go into an election? What's keeping you? What's holding you back? First
of all, we've been very clear from the beginning that we want this Parliament to work and we want to govern, and we've passed a law, Bill C-16, to establish fixed election dates. We've set an election for October 2009. That may be optimistic. I think the Canadian people want us to govern, and I believe the things we're bringing forward are either popular or, with full information, entirely defensible to the Canadian public. I think we're acting on what they want us to act on. So, seems to me we should get on with governing. That's what they want us to do. At the same time, from our narrow partisan interests, I continue to believe that the longer the government governs, the more it gets done, the more it has to run on in terms of re-election, the better that is for the country and for us. So I'm in no hurry. But as I say, ultimately, you know, I've set the date, October 2009. I'm clear when I want an election. If the opposition wants one earlier, they're going to have to say so. But I go back that the choice is not an election or obstruction. The choice is an election or give the government a mandate to govern. And I've said what those things are. We're clear on the economy. I don't think it's any secret this government's going to want to see some further tax reductions. I think we're clear where we need to go with our international partners on climate change and the environment. On crime, we ran on some pretty important priorities. We put some of those before Parliament. They've been sitting there for a year. If we get approval of the throne speech, we're going to expect those things to be passed. If we're going to be here, we're going to govern, and I think Canadians will expect us to get results out of the Parliament. We will be interpreting a positive result, a positive vote on the speech from the throne as a mandate to consider the major elements of the throne speech and the major elements of the government's program to be matters of confidence going forward, because we must be able to govern. And, you know, this is only a reasonable request. So I think the opposition, it's not a matter of making threats. They have to fish or cut bait. You know, I don't believe in politics you make threats unless you mean them. I don't know whether they mean these threats or not. I'm very clear. We have to be able to govern. We're going to put forward a program that I think is not going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's what people would expect from us. I think they're positions that the Canadian public does support, or we're confident they will support. And as I say, we have tried to listen and tried to adapt our program where it's realistic to do so and where it's responsible to do so to address the demands of the opposition. But, you know, there is a fish or cut bait on this. You can't pass the throne speech one day and the next day say, well, we didn't actually mean to do it, or we didn't actually give you a mandate. We will take it as a mandate. And we will take it as an ongoing question of confidence to get those things done.